In 2025, global air travel hit a new all-time record. Over 4.7 billion passengers boarded commercial flights worldwide, and airports, in response, have fundamentally changed how they operate. New biometric systems, new screening technology, new digital requirements, new rules that didn't exist 2 or 3 years ago. The problem? Most travelers are still operating on outdated habits. Habits that worked in 2019 or even 2023 are now causing missed flights, security delays, questioning at immigration, and denied boardings at an increasing rate. These are the 12 airport mistakes you need to stop making in 2026. Some of them are new. Some of them are old mistakes that now carry much heavier consequences than before. And at least 2 of them are things the vast majority of travelers are still getting completely wrong. Stay to the end, because mistake number 1 is the most costly, the most common, and the easiest to fix once you know about it. Mistake number 12. Arriving at the airport just in time. The single most persistent piece of bad travel advice circulating online is that 2 hours before a domestic flight and 3 hours before an international flight is always enough time. In 2026, that advice is dangerously outdated at dozens of the world's busiest airports. The mistake: arriving at the minimum recommended time and assuming a smooth, linear process. Check-in, bag drop, security, gate. No buffers. No margin. Why it matters. Airport passenger volumes in 2025 and 2026 have consistently exceeded infrastructure capacity at peak travel periods. Security queues at major hubs like London Heathrow, Dubai International, JFK, and Bangkok. Suvarnabhumi regularly run 45 to 90 minutes during morning and evening peaks, even for passengers with standard screening. Real consequence. A 2024 analysis by aviation tracking firm Cirium found that missed connections and late check-in denials increased by over 18% year-on-year at the world's 30 busiest airports. The majority attributable to passenger arrival timing, not airline delays. What most people don't know: airlines begin releasing checked-in seats back into inventory when the check-in deadline passes, which on international flights can be 60 minutes before departure, not 30. If you're in a security queue when that clock hits, your seat can legally be given away even if you have a boarding pass. Mistake number 11. Not checking your passport. Expiry against destination rules. This mistake has been discussed for years. It still happens thousands of times every single week, because the rule is not intuitive, and airlines, despite being legally liable for transporting inadmissible passengers, do not always catch it at check-in. The mistake: checking that your passport hasn't expired and assuming that's sufficient, not checking how much validity remains beyond your travel dates, and whether your destination requires more validity than you have. Why it matters. A. Significant number of countries require your passport to remain valid for 3 to 6 months beyond your intended departure date from that country. If you land with only 2 months of validity remaining and the destination requires 3, you can be denied entry at immigration, regardless of what the airline permitted at check-in. What most people don't know. The 6-month rule is not a universal international standard. It varies by country, by your nationality, and sometimes by the specific bilateral agreements between countries. The rule for a US passport holder entering Thailand differs from the rule for a UK passport holder entering the same country on the same day. Have you, or someone you know, ever been stopped at a border or airport because of a passport validity issue? Drop it in the comments. You might save someone else the same experience. Mistake number 10. Ignoring the new digital entry requirements. 2026 is the year digital pre-travel authorization has gone from occasional requirement to near universal expectation for international travelers, and a large number of travelers are still being caught off guard at the gate. The mistake: assuming that a valid passport and a purchased flight ticket is all you need to board an international flight, without checking whether the destination now requires a pre-approved digital travel authorization. Why it matters. The European Union's ETIAS system, The Europe Travel Information and Authorization System began phased implementation in 2025 and is progressively requiring pre-authorization for visa-exempt travelers from over 60 countries, including the United States, Canada, Australia, and the UK. The UK's own ETA system, already active for multiple nationalities, has expanded its scope. Japan, New Zealand, Australia, and Canada have had similar systems for years. The landscape has shifted rapidly. Real consequence. Airlines are legally required to verify digital travel authorizations before boarding. Passengers without valid authorization are denied boarding at the departure gate after they've already cleared security. The flight leaves without them. Mistake number 9. Packing liquids. Like it's still 2015. The 100 milliliter liquids rule has been the single most complained about airport security policy since it was introduced in 2006. And in 2026, it is simultaneously being reformed at some airports and strictly reinforced at others, creating a patchwork of rules that confuses even frequent travelers. Why it matters. Several major airports, including some UK airports, have introduced advanced CT scanning technology that is designed to allow larger liquid containers through security without the traditional 100 milliliter restriction and clear plastic bag requirement. However, the rollout has been uneven. Some lanes at the same airport use the new scanners. Others still use the old technology. The rules depend on which lane you enter. Real consequence. Passengers who follow a no liquids restriction briefing from a travel blogger or forum post without verifying current rules at their specific airport and terminal are regularly having full water bottles, duty-free purchases and toiletries confiscated at security in 2026. What most people don't know. Liquids purchased airside, after security, at one airport may be confiscated at the security screening of a connecting airport, particularly on connections through airports in the Schengen area. The plastic bag with the security seal from the purchase point is supposed to protect these items, but rules on acceptance vary by connecting country. Mistake number 8. Not enrolling in trusted traveler or pre-clearance programs. Millions of people who travel internationally multiple times a year still queue in the standard passport control line, sometimes for 45 minutes to 2 hours, when they are fully eligible for a faster lane that would take 5 minutes. This is one of the most straightforward and consistently underused time advantages in modern travel. The mistake. Assuming these programs are only for business travelers, or that the application process is complicated, or that the benefit isn't worth it for occasional travelers. Programs to know in 2026. TSA pre-check. US domestic security. Average 5 minutes versus 30+ minutes standard. Global entry. US Customs pre-clearance for international arrivals. Includes TSA pre-check. Nexus. US-Canada border crossing. UK. Registered traveller. EUEES pre-enrollment. Australia's SmartGate. Many of these programs charge a modest one-time or annual fee and require a background check and brief in-person interview. What most people don't know. Several premium travel credit cards in the US, UK, and Australia offer TSA pre-check, global entry, or lounge access enrollment fee reimbursements as a card benefit, meaning the cost of enrollment is effectively zero if you carry the right card. Many cardholders have this benefit and have never used it. Mistake number 7. Using free airport Wi-Fi. Without protection. Free airport Wi-Fi is one of the most reliably dangerous cybersecurity environments in the world. And in 2026, with the proliferation of AI-assisted interception tools and increasingly sophisticated man-in-the-middle attacks, the risk has measurably increased. The mistake. Connecting to airport Wi-Fi networks to check bank accounts, log into email, book hotels or onward transport, or access any password-protected service without using a VPN. Why it matters. Public Wi-Fi networks, including those at airports with official-looking network names, can be operated or intercepted by malicious actors. A technique called Evil Twin creates a fake Wi-Fi access point with a name identical to the airport's official network. Passengers connect, believing they're on the official network, while their traffic is being monitored. What most people don't know. Using mobile data, your phone's cellular connection, instead of Airport Wi-Fi eliminates the exposure almost entirely for most threat models. For travelers without international data plans, a reputable VPN that encrypts traffic before it leaves the device is the next best layer of protection. Mistake number 6. Checking in online but not reading the boarding pass. Carefully. Online check-in has become so routine that most travelers treat it as a formality. Tap, confirm, screenshot. Done. That habit is causing a specific and preventable category of airport problem at an increasing rate. The mistake. Checking in online without actually reading the boarding pass, specifically the gate, the boarding time, and whether the booking has auto-selected a connection itinerary that doesn't match what you booked. Why it matters. Airlines now regularly retime, resequence, and regate flights in the hours between online check-in and departure. A gate that was B22 when you checked in at home is now C47. A boarding time that was 14:30 is now 14:05. There's travelers who screenshot their boarding pass and don't recheck the live gate display, miss this, and miss their flights. Real consequence. Gate changes account for a disproportionate number of missed flights at busy hub airports. The airline sends a notification, but to the email or app notification that the passenger has muted, ignored, or didn't install. The gate change board is always current. The saved boarding pass screenshot is not. What most people don't know. On multi-segment itineraries booked through third-party sites, the boarding pass occasionally populates with incorrect connection times or shows a flight number that corresponds to a code-share partner operating on different equipment with different baggage rules. Not reading the fine print means you discover the discrepancy at the gate rather than at home. Mistake number 5. Misunderstanding what travel insurance actually covers. Travel insurance is one of the most widely purchased and most widely misunderstood products in the travel industry. Millions of travelers buy a policy, place it in a folder, and genuinely believe they are covered for everything. Many of them are not covered for the specific thing that goes wrong. The mistake. Purchasing travel insurance without reading what is and isn't covered, specifically around trip cancellation, medical evacuation, pre-existing conditions, and airline-caused delays versus weather delays. Why it matters. Standard travel insurance policies frequently exclude cancellations caused by airline operational decisions, strikes, staffing shortages, technical faults, because those are classified as the airline's legal responsibility under passenger rights regulations, not the insurer's. Travelers who cancel or rebook on their own initiative before the airline formally cancels the flight often void their entitlement to both the airline's compensation and the insurer's claim. The policyholder took an action, rebooked themselves, accepted a voucher, claimed a partial refund that legally resolved the initial event before the insurer was contacted. Once resolved, the insurer has no obligation to pay. Mistake number 4. Overpacking the carry-on and gambling on gate check. The carry-on baggage situation at airports in 2026 has reached a breaking point. Overhead bin space is the most contested resource on any fully booked commercial flight. And airlines, facing revenue pressure, have responded by more aggressively enforcing size and weight limits, introducing paid carry-on tiers, and implementing gate check programs that are not the free, seamless service travelers assume they are. The mistake. Packing a carry-on that is technically oversized or overweight, or bringing a personal item that functions as a second carry-on, and counting on getting through without being measured or weighed. Why it matters. Airlines including Ryanair, EasyJet, Spirit, Frontier, and others have significantly increased enforcement of bag sizing rules at some boarding gates in 2024 and 2025. Passengers caught with non-compliant bags at the gate face fees that are consistently higher than if the bag had been checked at the counter, sometimes 2 to 3 times higher. And in 2026, this enforcement is expanding to legacy carriers. Real consequence. Gate agents for low-cost carriers are now explicitly incentivized to catch oversized bags at boarding. On some airlines, gate check fees collected in the final boarding period are logged and tracked as part of ancillary revenue performance metrics for individual gates. What most people don't know. The personal item allowance, the free small bag under the seat, has been quietly shrinking in maximum permitted dimensions on several major low-cost carriers. An underseat bag that was compliant in 2023 may now exceed the published personal item dimensions for the same airline in 2026. The sizing sizers at the gate are the final word. Mistake number 3. Underestimating immigration and customs. Questioning. Most travelers clear immigration without incident, but the travelers who do get pulled aside for additional questioning share a remarkably consistent set of characteristics. Not because they've done anything wrong, but because they've said or done something at the booth that flags them for secondary screening. In 2026, with AI-assisted risk profiling becoming standard at major international airports, the triggers are more sensitive than ever. Why it matters. Immigration officers are trained to identify inconsistency, vagueness, and nervousness as indicators for additional screening. A passenger who says, "I'm not sure how long I'll stay," or "I might be here for work, but it's kind of personal too," or can't name their accommodation immediately creates a flag, regardless of their actual intent or eligibility. Real consequence. Secondary screening, being taken to a separate room for additional questioning, can take anywhere from 30 minutes to several hours. During that time, connecting flights depart. Hotels aren't notified. Travel companions wait with no information. Even when cleared, the passenger can miss an entire day of a short trip. What most people don't know, biometric data, facial recognition, fingerprints, and in some countries iris scans, is now collected and cross-referenced at immigration in the US, UK, EU, UAE, Singapore, Australia, Japan, and a growing list of other countries. This data is increasingly shared between allied nations under bilateral intelligence and border security agreements. Your travel history across multiple countries is visible to an immigration officer who knows where to look. Mistake number 2. Booking the cheapest possible connection time. Airline booking engines now offer connection times as short as 40 minutes at major international hubs, and passengers book these because they're cheaper, because they look possible on a map, and because the booking platform doesn't stop them. This is one of the most consistently self-destructive decisions in modern air travel. The mistake: booking a connection of under 90 minutes at a large international hub or under 60 minutes at any airport to save money or reduce overall travel time. Why it matters. A 45-minute connection at Frankfurt, Dubai, Chicago, O'Hare, or London Heathrow requires your inbound flight arriving exactly on time, deplaning quickly, clearing any intermediate security or immigration checkpoint, traveling potentially 20 to 40 minutes between terminals or concourses, and being at the gate before boarding closes. Every single one of those steps must go perfectly. In 2026, with chronic delays and congestion at major hubs, perfectly is not a realistic expectation. The critical distinction: connections booked as a single itinerary on one ticket give you legal protections. The airline must rebook you and, in many jurisdictions, provide care and compensation if the missed connection is their fault. Connections booked as two separate cheap tickets give you nothing if the first flight is late. Pro tip: the minimum recommended connection time, known in the industry as the minimum connecting time, or MCT, varies by airport and is available on each airport's official website. For large international hubs, treat the MCT as an absolute floor, not a target. Add at least 30 to 60 minutes on top of the MCT as your personal booking minimum. The extra time costs nothing if the connection goes smoothly. The missing time costs enormously if it doesn't. Mistake number 1. Not knowing your passenger rights at all. This is the most common mistake on this list, the most costly, the most invisible, and the most fixable. Because the information is public, it's free, and it takes about 20 minutes to understand the basics once before your first international trip. Every single year, tens of millions of travelers experience flight delays, cancellations, denied boardings, and lost baggage. And the overwhelming majority of them have no idea that they may be legally entitled to cash compensation, meal vouchers, hotel accommodation, and rebooking at the airline's cost, enforced by government regulation, not airline goodwill. The mistake: accepting whatever the airline offers, a voucher for future travel, a form to fill in for a goodwill gesture, a $10 food credit, without knowing whether you're entitled to far more under the law. The key regulations, EU 261/2004, applies to all flights departing from EU airports and flights arriving into EU airports on EU-based carriers. Covers delays of 3+ hours, cancellations and denied boarding. Compensation up to €600 per passenger. UK equivalent regulation mirrors EU 261 post-Brexit for UK departing flights. Canada's Air Passenger Protection Regulations. Australia's Passenger Rights Framework. The US DOT's refund and tarmac delay rules, which were significantly strengthened in 2024. What most people don't know: EU 261 compensation applies, even if the delay is caused by the airline's own operational failures, crew shortages, aircraft technical issues, scheduling problems. The only exclusion is extraordinary circumstances, events genuinely outside the airline's control, like severe weather or air traffic control strikes. Airlines frequently and incorrectly classify ordinary operational failures as extraordinary circumstances to avoid paying. Passengers who push back or use a compensation claim service routinely receive payments the airline initially refused. PRO. Tip: save these two things before every international trip: the text of your applicable passenger rights regulation and the name of one reputable flight compensation service, such as AirHelp, FlightRight, or Claim Compass. That works on a no-win, no-fee basis. If your flight is significantly delayed or cancelled, use them. Their fee comes from the airline's payout, not your pocket. This video is general travel awareness and education only. Regulations, airline policies, and entry requirements change frequently and vary by country, nationality, and route. Always verify current requirements through official government and airline sources before you travel. Nothing here constitutes legal or immigration advice. Like this video, if it gave you something useful, it's the single most effective way to help other travelers find it before they make one of these mistakes. Subscribe for more airport, immigration, and international travel awareness content. We go deep on the details that protect real travelers, not surface-level content you've read 100 times before. Comment below. Which of these 12 mistakes hit closest to home? Have you made one of them recently? Are you about to travel and now rethinking something about your booking? Share it. The comment section here is one of the most genuinely useful places on the internet for travelers who want real information from real experiences. Travel. Smart. Travel. Prepared. See you in the next one.